Okay, great. So I'm Samantha Shue. I'm with Movement Mortgage. I'm in the top 5% of loan officers across the country, and I own my own single family house at the moment. My two things I love are my kids and Orange Theory. When it opens back up, I can't wait to go back. And my vision for the world is positivity and gratitude. I always am looking for the silver lining.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Sam. I'm Shannon Shue, and I'm a real estate agent and an investor. If I do well as a real estate agent, I'm able to invest in more property. I'm currently actually moved into just into the top 1% last year of Keller Williams agents across the country. I own 9 units. I have a 10th unit, which is an ADU that I'm building in the back of this particular property. I'm building a 2-bed, 1-bath accessory dwelling unit. My other units are mostly all here in the greater Los Angeles area, except for one in Colorado at a ski resort. I love Vietnamese spring rolls, and my vision for the world is to connect and be able to really also connect through vulnerability, which I think is really important, especially after a pandemic. So we're gonna, Sam, will you introduce the agenda?
Sure. You know what? I'm so sorry. I think I forgot to adjust this for today. So why don't we go to the next slide? Yeah.
Sure.
But today, like Shannon said, we will be talking about the 2 different properties, one in Palm Springs and one in LA. And then we'll talk about financing, and that will be it. So go ahead.
All right. So we like to kind of go around the room and just get a feel for who you are, what you do for work, and what you'd like to learn today. Some folks kind of have questions in mind, and sometimes it's just, knowing kind of where you are with your thoughts on investing. So let's start with Melinda.
Hold on. Okay, so I'm an agent. I took a little break from it, but I got back into it this year, and I want to get into investing. So, and I saw Shannon. I actually was in the market to buy a house because I haven't gotten my primary residence yet, and I saw Shannon's listing. I think it was in Mid-City, and I saw her, and I was like, wow, she looks like me, and I really want to get into the investment side, not just getting commissions and yeah, so basically I just want to learn more about investments, and I like Shannon. I love that she kind of looked like me, and I like that that you bring a really personable experience. Like, I like how you talk about food and being a foodie, so it's just mostly like I felt connected to you and just wanted to see what you were about.
Great. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Melinda. And yeah, hopefully we'll get you on the right path for your first place. Azichi, would you like to go next? You're muted though.
Sorry, I forget that I'm muted. My name is Azichi. I work for Cardinal Financial as a loan officer. And I also invest in properties in North Carolina and Virginia. What I want to learn is what is happening in California.
Okay, great. And Azichi, last time you told us a little bit about what you invest in. You have a high velocity of properties you're acquiring.
Yeah.
What are you mostly investing in?
I am actually buying single family houses in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Darius.
But I slowed down my marketing right now, but I need to start it back up.
You got a lot on your plate. That's great.
Yeah, I do. I truly do, yeah.
Darius, it's been a little while. I haven't seen you. How are you? And tell us a little about yourself.
I'm a general contractor, active in Los Angeles, mostly in West LA. I'm also an investor. I want to get your views on the apartment versus Airbnb.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Darius, we'll do that for sure. And I'm sure as a general contractor, you're pretty busy today. I can't seem to get anybody out to look at my house.
I'll be more than happy to. Let me know.
Okie doke, I will. Ruben.
Yes, hi. My name is Ruben Rodriguez. I am a healthcare marketing manager. And what I'm looking for today is just kind of a general pulse of like where the market is right now. I've kind of like not been paying too much attention lately, but also what my next, I own a 2-bedroom condo here in LA, and I'm thinking about what's next because I just learned that from my work that long-term working from home is going to be an option, and if so, then kind of my possibilities of what I do next really expand in my head. So just trying to get a sense of that.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. A lot of folks are very similar with where you are, Ruben, being able to be location neutral. We will touch on that a little bit. Anne?
Hi, good to see you again, Shannon,
Yeah.
and Samantha. Yeah, this is my second call, I believe. And so, yeah, my name is Anne, and I work at a healthcare tech startup I'm based out of Santa Monica, but we're working from home right now. So I'm in Orange County. And I think just want to see any updates from a few months ago from the last call I attended. I did have a one-on-one call with Samantha after the last meeting, and it was great. Like, I'm on track to have my down payment by the end of the year, and I'm definitely looking for like a 2-bedroom condo west of the 405.
Awesome. All right, Anne. Yeah, it's good to see you again. And I'm glad that you've got a path now to home ownership. So fantastic.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Mindy?
Hi.
My former client.
Let's see, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, so I have a private practice. And I own a home, and I have some properties in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But I have not really done much in LA yet. Let's see, I had a couple of questions just for my concerns about, it just seems like from what I've heard that it's pretty daunting to make an offer on things right now, that prices are high and people are getting like 10 offers at once, and it just seems really daunting to think about buying a place and dedicating. It just seems like a lot of time too. Sometimes I just don't know if I want to invest the amount of time that it would take to keep making offers and keep looking at places and hope that you get something. I mean, so if you could address that today, that'd be great, or not, whatever.
Yeah.
And then just, what's going to happen. I mean, I know you don't know the future, but what's going to happen with interest rates and inflation, and is that going to be a problem in the future? The stuff I'm thinking about. So thanks for today, and I loved attending these. They're great.
Yeah. Oh, Mindy, I'd like to at least cover a handful of those questions that you asked, and then anything we don't get to, I know how to find you. So, okay, fantastic. Neil. Neil's also a former client of mine. Oh, can you hear?
Yeah. Neil
Okay.
Slater. I'm retired. Yeah. And I'm just monitoring the progress of the market and the reopening, and the same questions the previous speaker said. So that's what I'm doing here. That's what I expect to learn today. And it's saying my internet is unstable, so I may be coming in and out of this thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No, great. It was great to hear from you, Neil. And yeah, we'll cover a lot of those questions throughout. Tina.
Good afternoon. Hi, I am Tina Phillips, and I work at a real estate investment firm and wealth management. So what I'd like to learn today is who is ready for that next step to bring a group together and start investing together and get them to the right person, because I'm in the administration part. I'm not on the other side of things, but I definitely like to get experts together. Thank you.
Fabulous, Tina. It's good to see you, by the way.
It's good to see you too. Thank you.
Yeah. And Maria, you said that you were multitasking. Do you want to continue to multitask? I think you're the last person.
Okay, no, thank you for having this. Hold on. Thank you I'm actually helping. I am multitasking, but I really like the topic. My name's Maria. I work also in investments, but it's stock market investments. So, I think owning a home is cool if you can. And I like how you guys break it down and present it in like bite-sized pieces. So this was an interesting topic. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, fantastic, you guys. Well, this is going to be great. We're going to go through some financials. I'm going to let Sam take it away from here. We will get to your questions. Some of the questions aren't directly inside of the presentation, but we always leave enough time to make sure we wrap those back in, particularly questions about inflation, where the market is today. Why is it so incredibly challenging to get a home, but you can buy one today. And then really, what does that mean for the future? So I think those were some of the broader themes I've heard from many of you. All right, Sam.
All right, great. Sorry, guys, I was a little bit distracted there because I'm having some system issues, but hopefully it'll be resolved when we're done with this. Anyway, as everybody knows, there's low inventory, and Mindy is mentioning, yes, it is very hard to get your offer accepted, and there are multiple offers, probably on average about 7, but Shannon and I both see, like 20 to 60 offers on some properties. So it's definitely a little bit tough to get your offer accepted, but I'm definitely seeing offers being accepted, clients getting into escrow and getting the properties that they want. So I don't think it's so dire that it's not worth trying. And things are changing a little bit now. We're able to do some open houses again. Interest rates are still very low. The Fed mentioned yesterday that they are a little worried about inflation. So instead of raising rates in 2024, they expect to raise rates in 2023. Big deal. We're still in 2021. Rates are still really good, still in the very low 3s or high 2s, depending on where you go. But it's definitely always a good time to buy if you have the money for it.
Awesome. And yeah, I will just go ahead, Sam. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Oh, that's fine. I just put this in here as well. Some banks are still at capacity with rates being so low. There's lots of applications, so things are taking a long time to get pre-approved for escrows. Right now, if you're trying to make an offer on a property, you're going to want to try to make your close date as fast as possible because you really want to be able to compete among all the other buyers out there. So you'll need to be checking around at the different banks to find out how long they're taking to close a purchase. At Movement, at the company I work for, we're closing in about 3 weeks. So that really helps you get your offer accepted versus some of the bigger banks that are taking maybe 35 to 45 days. That's a big difference to a seller to be able to close in 3 weeks versus 4.5 or 5 weeks. So why do people buy houses? So many of you maybe never purchased a home before. Why do you do it? You can do it because it's a built-in retirement plan with the appreciation here in Los Angeles versus maybe some of the other markets. Anytime where all of us are thinking about Social Security is probably going to end by the time we retire. So being able to depend on the appreciation of the investment that you've made. The passive income, if you maybe rent out a room or house hack, as they call it, or get a 2-unit property or an investment property and have that passive income for the future. Appreciation we just spoke about, tax benefits. You can always talk to your CPA specifically about what you can write off. But when you own a house, especially if you're a high wage earner, W-2 earner, owning a house is a great way to have a write-off. And then finally, stabilize your housing payment. Right now, rents are all over the place. In some markets, they're down. In some markets, they're still increasing. When you buy a house, it will be a 30-year fixed payment if you choose for the 30-year loan. And so you'll never see a difference there. So that's why many people buy a house.
All right. And by the way, in Los Angeles, passive income just takes a few years to get to the passive income part, but everything else on this list is highly applicable for Los Angeles. The rest of the country, passive income, except for other bigger cities, I think is very possible right away.
So we always ask, or people always ask us, when's a good time to buy, right? Should I buy right now? It seems so crazy. Should I not? What do you think, Shannon?
So this question always, the immediate answer I always say is you buy when you're ready, which means you have the money for the down payment. If you don't have the money for the down payment, if I said, yeah, buy right now, you're like, oh, but I don't have any money. I'm like, oh, okay, well then buy when you're ready, right? So you do have to be financially in a position to purchase. How much that is depends on what you're buying, where you're buying. I have had clients say, is 250,000 enough? And I said, what do you want to buy, right? Or, conversely, is $55,000 enough? Again, what would you like to buy? When it comes to the market timing, you can't really time the market. The market moves at the pace it moves at. We are not going to see 2008 ever really again, where the rates and prices just fall through the floor. So a lot of folks are thinking, oh, we're right for one of the crashes. And I mean, we're not going to experience a crash. I do think that the market is going to have a banner year this year. So we are going to continue to go up, and it's going to be a very strong year for real estate throughout. Real estate is a slower moving market than something like the stock market. So a lot of times I say the stock market can get pummeled 3 days in a row, but real estate takes minimum 30 days to close, and even longer for like the feds and lending, and then the prices to change because you see the stock market pummeled. And one day of pummeling on the stock market does not affect real estate. You need to have a longer period of time. And then you might see, like I like to say, the stock market then becomes an indicator for other markets because you're beginning to see a trend. So you're looking for trends. Those are some of my big trends I look for. Where's the stock market, and is it consistently being pummeled, or is it just a one day and then it recovers? And then also when you have the money, buy. And then lastly, really don't think that you can time it. You do it, when you're ready. What do you think, Sam?
I think it's like having a baby. There's never a good time, but there's always a good time, right? So you have the baby and you're like, oh, wow, we're so glad we had this baby, right? I think a lot of people who sit on the sidelines sometimes, from a year or two ago that I spoke to who haven't purchased yet are like kicking themselves because had they bought a year or two ago, they could have gotten it at a much better price, but their income doesn't grow as fast as these houses are appreciating. So you quickly get priced out. So I think if you know you're ready and you at least take that first step to try to get pre-approved and see what you qualify for, dip your toe in the water. It doesn't cost you anything to get pre-approved. It doesn't cost you anything to look for a house, right? And if you look for a house and you make an offer, great, you might actually be able to get that investment before it gets out of your price range.
Yeah. And I will, just to piggyback onto that thought, most of you are investors that are going to probably hold your investment. So you will weather the downturn. If we experience a downturn, if you have tenants in place and you yourself are secured in your, both in your mortgage and your job, you can weather that. And I would say market cycles are usually 5 to 7 years. We have been on an upward trend since 2009. It is now 2021, and we are way past 7 years. That we're looking at one of the longest run-ups we have ever had. So expect a correction, but also expect it to recover. Los Angeles will recover faster than a smaller market like a Kansas City or a St. Louis.
So there's different types of properties to buy. We'll cover 2 of them here in our class today. A multi-unit could be like a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. If you go over a fourplex, like anything 5 and over, that's considered a commercial property, and so you would need to do a commercial loan. I handle the residential loan, so single families and condos up to 4-unit properties. And then everybody knows a single family residence is a house, and a condominium is another way to invest as well.
Okay, so I chose 2 properties. We're gonna go over the Palm Springs one, and then we're gonna go over the duplex in Crenshaw, in Los Angeles. So the reason I'm doing this is because Airbnb financially, what you gain from is always higher than the rents you would get monthly. It also is more upkeep. You have more turning of the property. You have more chances for damage because you have a rotation of people in and out. And then you're also very subject to sort of where the seasons, for example, Palm Springs is very hot in the summer. But I own a place in a ski resort, very ski resort. If there's snow on the ground and people can ski on it, people want to rent. But the shoulder seasons, when the snow is melting and it's muddy everywhere, not so many people want a vacation there. In the summers, they have mountain biking and hiking and like river activities. So for this Palm Springs property, it's $729,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's 1,854 square feet. You can fit 4 cars on the driveway, which is great because that means you can accommodate, although you don't want people to party hard in there, you can accommodate more than a couple cars there if you have maybe a family reunion. I don't necessarily think a bachelorette party would be a great idea, but you also don't know what people are going to do there because they're just booking as themselves. So this place is completely turnkey and ready. It really, the only thing it's missing in order for it to be ready to Airbnb rent is the furniture. It is staged in these photos. So I do say later on a kind of like a little bit about what you might need cost-wise in order to get it ready to Airbnb. It is on a busier street in Palm Springs. East Racket Club is sort of a main thoroughfare going west and east. So it is going to be a little bit busier, but again, I don't think most people Airbnb renting, they don't care so much about the street noise. So potential rent, we're going down to this section right here. If you were to just monthly rent this to tenants, it would be $3,500 a month. And you'd be you're looking for stable people that are going to stay for a couple of years. If you were to Airbnb rent it, it would be $400 a night. And I did not include cleaning fees. I did not include any other ancillary fees that you can charge on Airbnb. It's just strictly a per night basis. I did 15 nights a month, and that would be $6,000 you would make monthly. Again, it's a very highly seasonal place. So the reason I brought it down to 50% vacancy was because I want to account for the fact that you're not going to rent 30 days out of every month. And if you were 1 month, you probably wouldn't in the summer. So you're going to have to take a general vacancy average. I did a very conservative vacancy average, and here are my short-term rental assumptions and information of, 50% vacancy. A lot of times, even some of my friends that are Airbnb renting in Palm Springs are saying they're closer to 65 to 70, but during the pandemic, they were 85%. 85% occupied. I'm getting my words confused, but yes. But we're going to do 50% vacancy to kind of be conservative. 25% of the gross rents for cleaning between guests. A lot of the services now that are out there, they're about 25% on the low end and as much as 35% on the high end, which I will tell you, that's a lot of your profit to making sure it's clean and ready and you have good reviews. And then I'm just saying that you should allow about $10,000 to furnish the property completely and have it ready for people, from pots and pans to sheets and towels. And then of course the furniture and the television and all the things that make you feel like it's homey. Okay, here's my Crenshaw duplex. And the reason we're comparing them is because if you had roughly the same amount of money to pay for either of them, what would you buy? This duplex is out on 7th. It's currently on the market. So is the Palm Springs one. They're both currently on market. So I like to pick things that are currently on market so you could peruse them later. This is asking $749,000. It's actually on record. It's a 2-bedroom, 3-bath, but it's actually a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. 2,034 square feet. It's very large. You can see in this photo, it has a 2-car garage in the front. The duplex is split as a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in the back and a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the front. The back is collecting $1,050. It's very low rent. In today's market, I believe it would be closer to $1,800. But again, it's very difficult to move tenants right now because of COVID, or merely because Los Angeles rent stabilization ordinance is kind of tough on landlords. So you would need to either pay the tenants to leave, or you would just hopefully be very patient and they would maybe one day decide to leave voluntarily. At $1,050 though, I don't know that I would leave voluntarily for any reason. Potential rents in the front, I believe you could easily get $2,800 if you didn't change anything, because I think the inside isn't in terrible shape. I think in the back you could conservatively get $1,800. I think you could get more, and I'll talk a little bit about how to kind of get a little bit more. I always think I house hacked at the beginning when I started as a real estate agent. Real estate investor, and now I'm an agent. I don't house hack now, but you would rent in the front, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You would rent 1 or 2 of the bedrooms at maybe $900 each, and your roommates would be hopefully somebody that you feel comfortable sharing a kitchen with, and everything would be included. Kind of be all utilities, all the internet. And so it'd be a flat fee. That'd be $1,800 you would make while you're living in the front house. And you have space for your car, and you have storage with the garage. So it would be a very easy way to make a little extra money. Other upsides of this, it's 2 blocks from the Expo line. So it's very walkable. I do think the price could be slightly negotiable. I don't think it's gonna go for too much less than $749. If anything, you might get $10,000 off that. It's great. It's a great kind of starter investment. This has a lot of potential despite the back tenants not paying very much. Downsides, of course, is that the tenants aren't paying a whole lot, and it really needs some curb appeal. It's looking really shabby on the outside and very uninviting, and not like a place you would want to hang out outside, even though there's nothing. I think the neighborhood is fine. I just think there's nothing inviting about both the landscaping or the curb appeal. All right, Samson, walk us through. What would it cost to buy one of these?
I just rounded the number to about 800,000 so you guys could see. And if there's one thing that you take away from this class today, it's that you could see there on the top, you only need 3.5% down to buy an owner occupied house. So if you already own your own home, we could talk about it offline or at the end of class, whether you would qualify for this FHA loan program. FHA is a government loan program. So with only 3.5% down, it's about $52,000 total out of pocket, including your closing costs, all your prepaid property taxes and everything. And the payment would be about $5,000 a month. Then for the 15% down, again, you'll see there your total out of pocket about $144,000 and the total payment about $4,092. And then finally, if you had the 20% down, keep in mind in any of these scenarios, so long as you're buying it as an owner occupied house, not an investment property, but owner occupied, even in the duplex, you can have the down payment as a gift. So if you had a really wonderful family member to give you the money for the down, if you don't have it all on your own, you can do so. The payment for the 20% down would be about $3,700 a month. So in those 3 scenarios that you just mentioned, if you live there owner occupied, maybe rented out, let's say that duplex or whatever, you could recover much of that monthly payment, almost the entire thing if you were to rent it out.
Right. Awesome. Oh, and by the way, here's my breakdown after what you shared, Sam. And I think 800,000 is a good number to use, because I do think the Palm Springs home could go for a little bit more, not a whole lot, maybe 750, 760. And then the Los Angeles one, I think because of the very little inventory we have, I do think it would go closer to 800, 775. And that the only way you could bring it down in price would maybe be in some of the repairs, but I don't know that you'd get 40,000 in repair money. I think you'd get maybe 10,000 in repair money. Some other things to think about with Palm Springs. I put this last column, or sale price of what I think it will sell at, and then improvements. Like I said, Palm Springs is going to need some furniture for short-term rental. The property, the duplex in Los Angeles, it needs about $10,000 to paint the exterior. and maybe paint the one unit that you will occupy. But you could always paint it yourself. I think exterior painting, it's a little, just paying someone else to do it might help. 6,000 in landscaping and some just improve the fencing or fix the fencing. And then 10,000 in miscellaneous repairs. It's been nicely beaten by tenants, but it does not look completely dilapidated. It has been updated. The kitchen, the floors, and some of the bathrooms have been updated over time. So they're not in terrible shape, but it just needs a little bit of more TLC to make it probably just to your liking. And then just here is where I corrected. It is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. All right. Sam, you're up.
Okay. So what would you need to do if you are a first-time home buyer? The first thing to do is to speak to someone like me, a lender, to see what you can qualify for. Then we would, after you fill out the application, we would get you the loan pre-approval letter. And then finally you would meet with a realtor, just like Shannon, to help you write the offers. And it's really, really important that when you start writing offers that you figure out, you kind of have to wear the hat of the seller and say, what would this seller want, right? So working with a realtor to have an understanding of what that seller wants, making sure that you're working with a lender that can offer terms that the seller wants, the short closings and things like that are really important in this market.
Yeah, and one thing that my clients often say is, why do they list it for so low if they're gonna get so many offers on it? Because I'm gonna touch on offers. Thus far in 2021, the home that I have offered on with the most number of offers is 62. I know, you're like 62, I don't know 62 people. That home went for almost 500,000 above asking. It was about 490, 495 above asking. The asking price was only 100,000 below what I believe it would have comped for. So with a $400,000 difference, someone had a lot of cash. The buyer was financed, but they were probably like 40% down. And so you might say to yourself, how do I compete in a market like this? That home was in Pasadena very unique because there weren't very many in that particular area. But if there's some flexibility with what you're looking at, then we'll definitely be able to find something. Also, my one observation is condos in the 7 figures are sitting on the market. Nobody wants a condo. They don't have any outdoor space. The other thing is condos in general are not selling as quickly as single family homes. And then when you get above 2.5 million, it's getting a little thinner. It's getting a little thinner on how things are going with being a seller's market, meaning hit or miss. So hopefully I kind of answers some of those questions. As long as you're diligent, you will find a home. I really believe that. Okay.
And then just to figure out what can you qualify for. So this is like if someone were to make $60,000 a year, that's $5,000 a month. So for most lenders, you can go up to 50% of your gross income in debt. So assuming you have no car payment, no student loans, no credit cards, nothing, then you could actually go 50% of 5,000, which is 2,500 a month as far as a mortgage payment. That might feel too much. You might say, you know what, I'm only paying 1,600 right now, 2,500 is a way stretch. And that's fine. You don't have to go that high, but that's the highest that you could go. If, for example, you're making 120 a year, right? That's 10,000 a month. So then that would mean that your mortgage payment could be no more than 5,000 a month, including the taxes, the insurance, any HOA dues, etc. In some of these cases that we just mentioned, the 2-unit, let's say, brings in, I don't know, it was like 2,000, almost 2,000 a month for one of the units. So if you're going to occupy the smaller unit and get the 2,000 a month from the other one, you could actually use some of that income also to help you qualify for the mortgage. And then also first-time home buyers are putting as low as 3% or 5%, or even using the down payment assistance programs that are available for first-time home buyers. Having a first-time home buyer program, though, is not necessarily for everyone. Everybody always calls me and says, can't I use it? Can't I use the first-time home buyer? It's not like it's not necessary for everybody. And the reason why is sometimes it comes with a little higher interest rate because you're putting low down. If you have 20% to put down, you might not even need to use that first-time homebuyer program. So we can always talk about the options and see what's best for you. Finally, as I mentioned before, you can always get a gift or a co-signer to help you qualify. And all of these loans are no more prepayment penalties. Those were all over back in 2010. So you can always add a co-signer and then remove them later on if you need.
All right.
So that's it.
That's it.
Fast.
Yeah. We're gonna go. We always like to leave at least 10 minutes at the end for questions, but we're gonna go around the room and kind of ask what you learned. But really quick on the questions regarding competing in the markets today. I do think if you're going to casually look at real estate, it will take a long time to find something. I'm finding that today's market favors the most serious and most like I want to get a property buyers. If you're casually looking, it will take as long as maybe a year. So just bear that in mind. And I do think inflation is going to be a challenge in the coming 2 years. And I do think real estate is a good place to put your money if inflation starts to really become an issue, because I think it's a hard asset. I'm going to make, this is my running joke. So if anybody thinks like, I don't like that joke so much, but I don't understand cryptocurrencies, and I don't know that I could put any money in crypto because I don't understand what it's based in. It feels like it's based in the desire to own something with the hope that it will go up. But I don't know what, you can't buy much with crypto. I could buy a Tesla, but I think it has to be converted into dollar and then converted into the crypto. And so I'm like, I think I just rather hold on to my dollar. And so that's my personal thing. Real estate makes sense to me. It's a hard asset. It's going to be there in 5 years. So with that said, Sam, would you like to go around the room and kind of round robin with everybody?